It's raining now. Feels really good though, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's a storm, so hopefully it passes through pretty quick. I am soaked to the bone, but it feels really, really nice. Seriously, not gonna lie. It is literally like a 40-mile shower. It's like being in a shower right now with 40-mile-an-hour winds. Crazy storm rolling through, and it was only supposed to be like a 20% chance of a little bit of rain. Look at this thing just rocking through here. We're gonna ride it out. All right, hey everybody, welcome to Traditional Bow Hunting Wilderness Podcast. We are going to talk today about hunting in the rain for deer. Things have changed. It's a lot easier now than it used to be. Well, maybe it really hasn't. It's been this way for a long time, I guess. But sometimes you just realize some of this kind of stuff. But there are ways that you can deal with hunting in the rain, and we're going to talk about them today. First off, like what I'm doing right now today is I'm avoiding it, okay? And it's been this way for a long time. It was even like this in Michigan. Usually when you get rain that comes through, especially down here in the south, you don't get rain where it's going to pretty much cover the whole entire state. Okay, it's not like that. And it wasn't always like that in Michigan too. Usually, you know, you could drive an hour and a half in a different direction and get away from it, and there was public land to do that. So, and most states have that type of a scenario where you can get away from it. Here, for example, today, if I when I looked last night on the weather, I had plans to go to one particular WMA, and it was calling for rain for about a 4-hour period this afternoon, right up through prime time. But it was calling for a period in there of rain. It was going to drop about 0.3 inches of rain, so not much. And I thought, okay, that's where I'm going to go. When I woke up this morning, that had jumped up to a half-inch of rain and running all afternoon. So I kind of ruled that one out, and I picked another one that I was going to go to a different WMA. So one was an hour in one direction, let's call it north. The other one was in another direction, south, by about an hour and a half, and that one wasn't going to get that much rain. So that's where I was planning on going, and I already knew where I would go there, so I was kind of like, I don't have to get out there too early and find a new place. I kind of know the area I want to go into. I'll be able to scout it quick. And then when I just went out to lunch with Tina and Bella and Ronan, I got back and I looked and I'm like, let's double check it. Now that place is getting a half-inch of rain. The place that was getting a half-inch of rain is now getting 1.8 inches of rain. So it's turning around crazy. So I'm like, okay, well, we got to find somewhere else to go. So now I'm going to a place that is an hour and 15 minutes west, and it's only got 0.02 inches of rain, and it only lasts for 2 hours, and it's done before the last hour of daylight. So you see what I'm getting at. Now that could all change, but the point being, you can usually run from rain. Okay, you can usually get away from it. What do you do if you're on an out-of-state hunt? Okay, because I deal with that all the time, and I don't ever not hunt in the rain. Okay, I'm not afraid to hunt in the rain. You'll see some. I'll throw a couple little examples in here for you, but and then you got quality rain gear. I have my rain gear is here with me. I might be able to reach it here. Wait, no, that's that bag. No, I cannot reach it, but it's behind me. I have my First Light rain gear here in the truck with me, so if I need it, I'll put it on and use it. So rain gear, good quality rain gear makes a huge difference. And when I say quality, I mean good quality rain gear. I have had 20 sets of rain gear in my life, but yet for the last 7 or 8 years, all I've worn is the First Light rain gear, and I have the Boundary Storm Type pant and the Vapor Storm Type jacket, and I have Outdoor Research, and I'll put a link to a video at the end of this that shows that stuff, what I use, and they are phenomenal. And I also have the Kuiu Chukach rain gear. Love that too. I have that whole set. So like I said, there's a lot of quality rain gear out there. Spending $500 or $600 on rain gear is not a bad decision. There is some other ones that are cheaper too that are good also, but quality rain gear makes a difference. I used to go through a set every single year with the other stuff, even the Helly Hansen Impertech, which was really good, but doesn't breathe quite as well, but it's pure waterproof, that's for sure. And it was really good stuff. You just had to thermal regulate when you're wearing it. but that stuff would dry rot out after a couple of years, you know. So it's, you know, buying quality stuff once, it lasts you pretty much the rest of your life. Okay, I remember when I did a caribou hunt 20 years ago, I started out with some I can't remember who made it, but it was a H2O H20 series Gore-Tex rain gear. It was a really pretty expensive rain gear, and literally by the time I was halfway through that caribou hunt, I had the whole thing duct taped and switched to my Impertech, and I went with, because I brought 2 sets, and I went with the Impertech bibs and the Impertech jacket, and I wore that for the rest of that trip. And by the time that trip was done, that thing had like 7 or 8 duct tape patches on it too. I used those Impertech ones with duct tape patches on them for 2 or 3 more years after that before I replaced them. So I mean, good quality rain gear matters, and so it's a good option to have. Now, as far as the other options, because people are thinking, well, I don't have the luxury on an out-of-state hunt, you know, to not hunt in the rain if it's going to rain. You're right, you don't. If you're only on a trip for 5 days and it's going to rain for 3 or 4 of them, or you're there for 7 and it rains for 4 or 5 days, and this has happened to me many times. If you're in that scenario, what do? How do you deal with that? Couple of options. You either hunt in the rain, which I will give you tips to make very successful here in a few minutes, but you can either hunt in the rain or you can drive out of it. Okay, usually. Sometimes those rains, like I said, they'll cover an entire state, but usually not. That's rare, not normally the case. So, so before you plan your out-of-state hunting trip and you're planning to go to one particular area, if you're allowed to, start scanning around and looking for backup options around there too that have some similar things, so you at least know where they are, you know where you can go and how you can maybe get away from that rain, you know, that kind of surround you. So if you're right here in the middle, find the ones that are on the outskirts within an hour and a half of there, and it's worth that drive sometimes, okay? When me and Joe were in Missouri, we set up his wall tent in Missouri, set up there, and we're ready to go. We had an ice storm come in. We spike camped out. We took my little tent, little 2-person dome tent, left his wall tent where it is, took a 2-person dome tent. We drove 3 hours and we hunted over there all day, and then we dome tented out of my little 3-man dome tent and spent the night there. Got up, hunted the next day, all that whole entire day, and then we drove back that night back to base camp. Okay, so I mean, you can outrun this kind of stuff. Hunting in the rain is one thing. Hunting in an ice storm, or when it's raining and it's like 40 degrees during the day and raining, and then it's right at last light it's going to start to freeze. Those are very dangerous times. I do not recommend hunting in those from a tree stand. They're very, very dangerous for so many different reasons. Your gears could slip, your gear could straps are froze, buckles are froze, your hands are froze, everything is slippery, it's like ice, it's not a safe scenario. So try to avoid those, at least being in a tree stand when you're up there. So you have these options, but your best options are outrun the rain, like I'm doing right now. I'm actually running like a chicken with my tail between my legs and taking off. And not that chickens usually run with a tail between their legs, but you get the point here. I am heading out to try to avoid getting torrentially downpoured on. I don't mind up to a 1/4 inch of rain. That's not a big deal. That's kind of my limit there for where I want to hunt at, for a lot of reasons. Unless, again, if I'm on an out-of-state trip and I don't have a choice because I only got so many days, I'll hunt in whatever weather comes. I've been in Kansas in 60-mile-an-hour winds, sideways rain. I don't care. I'll sit through it and do what I got to do because I'm limited on my time there. But here at home, where today most people are going to be like, no, I'm not going hunting. We got 3/4 of an inch of rain coming here at my house. We got rain spreading around. Like I said, the WMA I wanted to go to, that you guys have seen me on on my Patreon channel, the vlogs where I've been hunting at. That one's the one getting 1.7 something inches of rain. It's a lot of rain going there. I don't want to be in that. But yet, on the same note, here I am. I can drive. That one's an hour away from my house. I can drive an hour and 15 minutes in a different direction, and I can get what hopefully turns out to be nothing more than a sprinkle or a light rain on me for a couple-hour period. That's a much better scenario. And I could probably, if I wanted to, go another half hour west, get over into the stuff, an hour and 45 minutes from me. I can be over in Robert Carter's world, where his amazing options are and some of the great stuff he's got there that I've hog hunted with him on. But I'm not going over there deer hunting by him. Like I said, I know he's got a lot of spots and he's got a lot of things there, but we hunt the same way, and I'm going to cover a lot of miles to find a place where I want to hunt. And out of respect for him and the fact that he hunts as much as he does, I'm not going and tromping all over his area out there. Because so far the only areas I know there are ones that we kind of hunt together. Like I said, I'm just not doing that. So we're going to stick here and go to this other WMA that I know and get away from it with that aspect. So what do you do when you're hunting in, if you have to hunt in the rain, how do you make it more successful for you? Because people worry constantly about, you know, blood trails, things like that. What do we do to bypass that? Well, you want to hunt more open stuff. What I mean by more open, I don't mean like open areas. I'm just saying you want to be in a spot where you're going to be able to watch that animal for about 80 yards or so, okay, 80 to 100 yards. Even if you don't see him go down, if you can watch that deer for 80 yards, even just see his tail as he's running away, but if you can see them like that, you got a pretty dang good bearing on where they are. You're going to have a real easy time finding the blood. You're going to have a real easy time recovering that animal, and your odds are real good. So hunt those places, even if they're super thick, where you can see. But what I mean is high stem count, low foliage, where you're up above it, okay? So even though to a deer and at that level, it's super, super thick in there, but you can see over top of a lot of this stuff and see where things are, and you can mark them. So that's a fantastic one. And always carry with you a string tracker, okay? String trackers today have come a long way. They're, you know, from what they were in the 80s. I got the trad tracker, which I've done a review on, which is fantastic. Now, I have not killed anything with it yet. I've hunted with it a few times. I don't hunt with it every time, just because I just don't feel that I want to or need to hunt with it every time. But you can be 100% sure that if it is raining, I will be using that string tracker on there. But a string tracker is a fantastic idea for hunting in general. But in the rain, it's a great one. But picked in more open places so your blood trails are not going to be hard. You're not going to see me hunt a place that's so super thick that I can't see 10 yards around me. And, you know, I'm not going to hunt that spot in the rain. I'm just not going to do it because of the fact that it's going to be too hard for me to trail that animal. Blood trailing is also not 100% effective, and it's also not a guarantee. So there's so many variables that can happen anytime you shoot an animal. So blood trailing is not always a given. So you need to know other tactics as well too. So even in the rain, usually unless it's a torrential downpour, there's still blood there. You can find blood still as you're going. So blood trailing in the rain is still a very possible thing. But if you lose it, just like losing it on a dry day, you're going to have to resort to other avenues to find it. String trackers are a fantastic option. They will make your life a lot easier, especially in the rain stuff. You make sure before you go hunting in the rain that you have tested and made sure that your arrows fly well in the rain. We're talking about your feathers and everything that you got going, okay? Make sure when you put a broadhead on the end of that arrow that it is going to fly absolutely perfectly like you need it to with wet, matted down feathers, okay? Same with your string silencers. If you use like a yarn or something like that, soak them, pour water over them and drown them out, and then shoot your bow and make sure it doesn't have an impact on you, okay? So you want to make sure some things are good. Make sure you can hold your bow when your hands and your bow are soaking wet. Now, longbow guys have a grip on there, so it's pretty easy. You recurve shooters that are shooting a bow with this little bitty grip like this little light hold it grip, try doing that with wet hands on a wet wood riser. See if it works. If it doesn't, you might need to come up with a solution. There are some things that you need to do and pay attention to when you're hunting in the rain. If you're climbing a tree in the rain, you need to make sure you are double connected all the time. If you're somebody who climbs with just a lineman belt, you need to make sure you also have your tether wrapped around that tree, because slipping a step is a very high probability, and you're going to go down. So make sure you are extra safe, and you take your time hanging that stand, take your time climbing, take your time and do this stuff the right way so it does not become an issue for you. But hunting in the rain is a wonderful thing. Animals will move really good in the rain unless it's torrential downpour. If it's torrential downpour, you're basically just waiting it out till it stops, and then they start moving again. If it's going to torrential downpour all day, like I said, this one place with 1.7 inches, I'm just not going there. Okay, I wouldn't go there. If I'm on an out-of-state hunt and have no choice, I would find somewhere else to go. Okay, but if you're anything 1/4 inch or under of rain coming for that day, it's not a big deal. That doesn't bother me one bit. You start getting over a 1/4 inch, you start getting into a 1/2 inch of rain coming, that starts to get to be a pretty good rain. So then what you want to do is go to your weather app, start looking at the hourly forecast and see when these rains are going to come, and below it there's a little number. I did a whole video on this on my Patreon channel. I'm not redoing it here because, you know, I already did it and I don't have to make it again. Go join my Patreon channel. You can see this stuff. But the Patreon channel, there's a link below for that. But on my Patreon channel, I show you how to not only see when it's going to rain hourly, but to understand how much rain per hour is going to happen in those areas. So all that information is available on your weather apps if you know how to look for it and how to dive into them, and that will tell you. So you can look at it and see, like that one that we were going to go to, between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. we had 1.7 inches of rain coming. Okay, where this one we're going to, we have 0.07, so not even a 1/10 inch of, less than a 1/10 of an inch of rain coming, and it's between 4 and 5:30. Okay, so it's like one little gap of rain. Could it extend? Who knows? It possibly could, but either way, I'm on stand till literally like 5 minutes to 8. So I got plenty of time for that rain to come in, me to sit it out, plus it's a low enough rain that animals will move through it without any issue, and I can hunt right through the rain. It's not going to be enough to bother me blood trailing wise. It's got all the benefits we're looking for, so it's a very huntable type scenario. So hopefully this video gives you a little pointers, a little bit of info there on how to do it the right way, and thanks for watching.